We're almost at the climax of this arc now. Literally, next chapter is the finale of this arc, and I gotta say, if you're not reading Magi, go do yourself a favor and go read this manga. This chapter again, freaking just, what the hell Judal and Hakuryuu are up to, because at first it's like, oh, you know, your sister's out there fighting, but we're not here for that. So it's kind of like, exactly what are they there for? Because you gotta look at it like, okay, this entire alliance is there. I don't think they're going to try to fuck with these people. At the end of the day, Judal and Hakuryuu are strong, but they ain't going to be able to, come on, Sinbad, all these people over there. So they're not going to try to start a fight, I don't think. I think they're going to possibly try to maybe weasel their way into doing some sort of negotiations or something so that they can eventually come out on top. Remember, Hakuryuu, from the very get-go, when it came to Sinbad, he was like, yo, please help me form an alliance. I want to take down the Ko-Empire. I want to, you know, overthrow them and whatnot. So maybe he's going to try to plead his case right here, help me take them down or something. I don't know what he's going to do, but it's definitely like, since the medium is done, you know, he's finishing this chapter, it's not anything to do with helping, and he never planned on it to begin with. Maybe he would have just stood right there the entire time with Judal and not even done shit, which is so fucked up, and it's so the reason why I hate Hakuryuu, because it's like, yo, dog, your sister, you love your sister, like, no, fuck you. Now, I think they just wrapped it up so appropriately with the whole Mogama thing, going back to Magna Star, because it really just connected the two arcs with this arc and the last one, and it's just like, they really did a good job at giving closure at what's going on with the whole situation, because it's like, I felt as though Mamit, Titus, a lot of that stuff, it felt like they just like got swept under the rug in a way, and we actually got very great closure with it, you know, especially with Mamit, pretty much what he said in this chapter, and how he just completely realized the error of his ways, and it's like, yo, it took him freaking getting gobbled up and being there in the core of all this black group in order to pretty much change his mind and see what he was doing was wrong. And the fact that he, at the end, pretty much said, nobody is better than another person, that just really just showed, like, he developed beyond belief. You know, he reached the peak of what he needed to go as far as being a good person. And I was just so glad at what happened with Mogami. And then we also find out that he actually kidnapped Yamu from her place and whatnot. And it's just like, he's just such a mysterious character and such a great character that Mogami, like, yeah, he was fucked up for some of the stuff he did, and he had, like, this really racist attitude, and, he, you know, he was fucked up, but he had a reason to be like that, and I just really love the way everything was wrapped up in this chapter. It was done very beautifully. I could definitely see if they do this right in the anime, me just fucking tearing up, because it's like, it's so sad, you know, the reunion with Yamuraya. We didn't even know really like how deep their connection and bond was until this chapter, and it was just so sad. I really like how he asked Aladdin to please find a way to bring Black Root back to the white side, and I think that one day that will happen, but that's gonna happen definitely at the end of the manga, because as I said in a previous review, Magi at the beginning of Magna Stop was like only 1/4 of the way there, so we got a lot of time. And now the medium's finished, and to be honest with you, I just think it was so appropriate that Titus helped to do that, because it was like, the whole thing with Magna Stop was setting things up, you know, making Titus this important character, and really just making you look at it like, damn, this guy, he has such a fucked up situation, and connecting it to him, you know, helping to defeat the medium, the big threat of this arc, it was just so appropriate. I wouldn't have had it any other way, because if not, then it wouldn't have gave meaning and purpose to a lot of these characters like Titus, Mogami, everything that just went down in Magna Star. Definitely a very interesting end. First of all, we got Titus. I don't know if that was him as a rukh or him as like a little cell copy of Scheherazade when he went down, and it looked like he was in Ugo's tomb, but then also it was something that Gyokuen said, pretty much how the Magi from the Reign Empire, she went to that place. To be precise, her rukh went to that place. So exactly where is it? Did she mean that her rukh went over to the black side and they were able to, you know, extract it? Or what place did she go to? I have a feeling if they're happy, that means that they somehow were able to obtain her rukh, and they're going to be able to use that. And judging from the way things were stated, we have a long way to go, because now they're planning on doing things from the ground up. They want to start with a very hard and dark core of Black Root and work their way through, because Mogami, in the end, he wasn't that bad of a guy. He had a lot of issues, but he wasn't evil. If I had to say one complaint about the chapter, is that I definitely don't want to keep seeing this pattern with Aladdin, where he kind of, you know, goes into the monster or the beast and kind of tangles with the rukh and then finishes the problem like that. It kind of just will seem repetitive after a while. I didn't have a problem with it with this particular time again, because it had meaning, it had Mogami in the middle of it, but I definitely don't want to keep seeing a trend of that. At some given point, I do want to see some, like, you know, beasts and some monsters that they fight end up just getting slashed down, maybe, you know, by some crazy technique. So I definitely want to see a little bit more of the traditional side of shonen, and I just really hope that we don't get this continuous pattern of, like, you know, Aladdin goes in the rukh, tells motherfuckers what they need to hear, and problem done. Because then at that point, it's kind of like going down the path of Naruto with the whole talk no jutsu, and while it's alright, it definitely can get repetitive, but still a very emotional way to end things with the whole thing with Mamit, and it was just a really emotional time, and I definitely appreciated that. Now, the big mystery with Ugo's head down there and Titus going down, what's going to happen? I'm really hoping that there's something that Ugo could possibly do to make Titus eventually a person. I really want, at some given point, Titus to come back as an actual person and not be just a clone of Scheherazade. But if Scheherazade is gone and Titus is still floating around, whether that be his rukh or whatnot, it's interesting. So he actually is, in essence, kind of like an individual in a way. So it's going to be very interesting if Titus somehow can become a person, and I'm really hoping for that because he didn't fucking deserve. He wanted to live, man. He wanted to live. Overall, very good chapter. Very good almost ending to the arc because we have one more chapter to end this, but very good stuff. It just really closed things off. My only complaint, like I said, is that I don't want to keep seeing the way Aladdin has been defeating these opponents in that same type of manner. But other than that, beautiful done. And if it was just a little bit more sadder, I probably would have shed a tear. But let me know what you think, first of all. Where do you think that Scheherazade's rukh went? Is it, did they capture it somehow? Do they just mean that it went into the dark side? She became Black Rukh. And Titus going into the freaking maze with Ugo. Do you think that Ugo is going to work with him together? I think one day Ugo and Aladdin will be reunited, or at the very least, Ugo's going to tell Titus a lot of things, and possibly Titus will become a person in and of himself, and then eventually meet Aladdin and tell him how he was with Ugo and tell him all these great things. Can't freaking wait. Great setup for the finale, and just overall very good stuff. That's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to see what the hell's going to happen with that cliffhanger of an ending, because one more chapter in this arc is done, and we're going to start some new shit. But for now, pretty crazy shit. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.